G'day, g'day. It's Nick here and welcome to Wicked Wildlife. And today I want to introduce you to Milo. This guy here is a southern brown bandicoot living here at Animals Anonymous. So stick around, guys. We're having a look at an iconic marsupial. So, when Europeans first arrived in Australia, there were 7 species of bandicoots across the country. And this guy here, the southern brown bandicoot, as you might imagine, was found across the south coast. Out where I live in Hamilton, we've also got the eastern barred bandicoot, there's the western barred bandicoot, and there's several species found in central Australia, some of which have unfortunately gone extinct. One of the fortunate things for this particular species, the southern brown bandicoot, is in certain areas, rather than having their low-lying bush disappear that they depend on for survival, these guys have adapted to use the weeds that we accidentally brought over. And there's places where the southern brown bandicoot's now dependent on things like blackberries, which are a noxious pest, to provide some foliage, because we've got rid of the original habitat that he used to live in. So as I said, while the southern brown bandicoot's doing okay today, the eastern barred bandicoot was actually believed to be extinct, and it was only rediscovered in the last few decades in my hometown, Hamilton. Today, they're now doing well, but living entirely in fenced reserves. And the western barred bandicoot, over on the west coast, wasn't doing much better. They're extinct over the vast majority of their range, including all of South Australia, but today have been reintroduced to fenced reserves. While it's a great thing that these animals are back in some places, it's unfortunate that they're really dependent on human management to keep these areas as safe places for bandicoots.
One fortunate characteristic about bandicoots, however, is that when we look after these guys properly, these guys can reproduce really quickly. They have a gestation of only 15 days. The baby then spends 50 days in mum's backwards facing pouch, and a female bandicoot can have up to 4 litters per year. On top of that, baby bandicoots are breeding at only 6 months old. So the issue isn't their breeding rate. All we have to do is make sure we can get rid of the feral species and provide some suitable habitat, and these guys can repopulate really successfully.
The reason it's so important that we do look after these guys is just like a lot of the other small marsupials that I've introduced you to here at Animals Anonymous, is these guys are ecosystem engineers. They're turning over soil and all the leaf litter on the bottom of the forest floor, which reduces fuel for fires. They spread fungal spores, and wherever they're digging, turns over the soil that other things can grow. So these guys are really important things. It's really easy, I think, sometimes, to sort of dismiss all the little brown hopping things and think of them almost as the Australian equivalent of rabbits. But these guys are as Australian as kangaroos and koalas, and we need them. And the reality is, a lot of them are still dependent on our intervention to keep them surviving. And the only way this is going to keep happening, funds don't last forever, is if people want these things to keep happening. We need people to start getting as excited about seeing bandicoots as they do about kangaroos and koalas. So the funding and the management stays in place so that bandicoots are still there one day for my kids and your kids to see in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time. The last thing is, if you happen to live in an area where any of our species of bandicoots live, there is a couple of things you can do to help. The first thing you can do is keep your cats locked up at night, or even better, keep them inside all the time. Cats can be great pets, but they're not good for our wildlife, and this guy here is decimated by cats out in the bush. On top of that, you can plant native vegetation, something nice and low and spiky. People mean well and they plant nice flowering gums, but he can't hide in that. He needs nice dense shrubbery to hide in. If you live in these local areas, there's also lots of land care groups that have set up these feral-free enclosures, or they're creating habitat in open areas. And they're always looking for more people to help, planting plants, providing habitat for these guys. So together we can all actually make a pretty significant difference to their survival. So all things considered, this guy's an Australian icon, and it's a shame that they don't get as much attention as some of the bigger, more, I suppose, visible animals that we see as we walk around the bush. Just because these guys are hiding at night time doesn't mean they're not around, and it doesn't mean that they don't need our attention. But if you'd like to know more about this species or bandicoots in general, as I said, this guy's actually an educational ambassador. He lives at a friend of ours, Animals Anonymous, and I'll leave a link to their Facebook page in the description of the video. But in between now and then, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook. If you do want to help out with Wicked Wildlife, with us bringing out more videos and making our videos better and better every time, also consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/Wicked Wildlife, where you can help us get further afield and visit more amazing facilities like here at Animals Anonymous. Other than that, thanks for watching, be nice to wildlife, have a good one and take care.